In this video, I'm going to show how you can add detailed headers and footers to a PDF in your Bubble application. You'll see here I'm clicking the Create PDF button. That's going to trigger a PDF generation. And when we open it up in a second, what we're going to see is a footer with 3 lines of vertically stacked text and a dynamic image. We're not going to show it on the first page. That's intentional because it's a cover page. But if we go down to page 2, we'll see here we have Big Corp's logo. We have their name over here, some contact information, and then this nice line as well, just to show that a footer is a separate part. If we scroll down, it's the same on every other page. So we're going to start off really simple. We're going to build up to that. We're also going to show some other examples. Just to give you a taster of maybe one more thing we'll go through. This time when I generate the PDF, the footer is going to have a page number in the format, page 1 of 7, 2 of 7, 3 of 7, and also some other descriptive text. So again, nothing on the first page, but if we scroll down, we're going to have here page 2 of 13, 3 of 13, and so on. So that's another example of what we'll go through. In this video, we're going to be using DocuPotion to generate our PDFs. I'm not going to go through in too much detail in terms of getting it set up because I do have other videos on that and the docs are pretty extensive. But just at a high level, how it's going to work, we have our PDF generation dashboard, which is a single button, and we're using this Create PDF action that comes with the DocuPotion Bubble plugin to basically generate a PDF of this test quote page. And if I open this up in the editor, first of all, you'll see here we have a bunch of different pages and they're all in the dimensions 794 pixels wide. And then for the fixed height pages, we're using 1123. Not all the pages are of a fixed height. So for example, this one here can extend beyond it. But the reason we're using those dimensions is if you look at the knowledge base and just search for dimensions, we have this doc here on the recommended width and height for creating PDFs when you're using that Create PDF action. So again, not going to go through too much detail, but maybe just to get things started, I'm going to create a PDF of that test quote page without any footer or header, just to show you how it looks. We'll then go about adding the header and footer in and go through a few different examples. Okay, so here's our PDF, and you can see here quite, 13-page PDF. That's our cover page. This is our introduction. Then we have this signature page. I don't love the fact that this is hugging the top of the page, so I'm going to add in a top margin in a second. And then we go into this repeating group. So there's a repeating group here of type, I think, products. And you'll see we have roofing materials, gutters, and I've told DocuPotion to start each of these products on a new page of the PDF, which is why we're getting so many of them. Then to finish off, we have this here as well, and then a shorter list. But okay, let's start off by putting in a super basic footer. I'm going to go back to my Create PDF action on the dashboard page. So go up to this, edit the workflow. And like I said, the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add a top margin of 50 pixels. And I'm going to add a bottom margin of 50 pixels as well. I'm then going to scroll down here on the Create PDF action. And you'll see here we have fields for the footer and also for the header. I'm going to deal primarily with the footer in this video, but the principle is exactly the same. And I'll go through one header example towards the end as well. But the first thing I'm going to just type in is simply Cranford Tech Limited, and for the right footer content I'll put in private. And let's generate a PDF. Again, click on our Create PDF button, send that away to DocuPotion, which is going to do its thing, and then when it has been uploaded to our Bubble database, we're going to automatically open it in our browser. So you can see here more space at the top. So now we have this issue where our cover page is spilling out over onto another page, and that's actually going to be repeated with a few other pages. But let's just take a look at a footer for a second. We've Cranford Tech Limited and we have private. Now if we wanted to, we could adjust the font size, the font color, and how far in from the left and right hand side of the page it is. I'm actually pretty happy with how that looks, I think. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. but we do have the issue of that very first page, which is spilling out. So what I recommend doing is if you're adding a top margin of 50 pixels and a bottom margin of 50 pixels, if you've designed your PDF according to these dimensions here, you need to take that off the height. So again, I've been using a fixed height of 1123 pixels for a lot of the pages. So I'm going to go back to my test quote page. I'm going to open up the cover page and I'm going to reduce this down to 1023. I'm going to do the same for my other pages. Put that in there. 1023. We don't need to do that for the repeating group just because that doesn't have a min or a max height given its kind of unknown length. Perfect. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to add in a simple page number this time. So let's go back to my dashboard page and I'm going to go here into create PDF. And what you can do is DocuPotion comes with a bunch of kind of special commands. And one of them is if we just type in here page dash counter, we'll actually get the page number on each page of our output PDF. So let's try and generate that again. A couple of things we're looking out for is to ensure the cover page doesn't spill out onto the second page and that we have those page numbers in the footer as well. Okay. Yeah, that looks better. Oh, we do actually have this issue here. I'll come back to that in a second. But we do have the page number here. So you can see here we have page 1, we have page 2, we have page 3, and so on. So this isn't ideal because we do want the 50 pixel top and bottom margin on every page, but not really on the cover page because this really needs to come down to the end here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to my test quote page and I'm going to change the height of the cover page to be back to 1123. So that's going to take up the full width and height. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on any kind of text element on the page, as long as it's kind of embedded within a group. I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to type in the special command remove dash margin. And what that's going to do is it's going to remove the top and bottom margin only on the first page. Every other page is going to have a top and bottom margin, which we want because number 1 for formatting, number 2 for giving space to the footer. But for the first page specifically, we're not going to have that margin. So you can see here, this is now taking up the full height of the first page. We still have our top margin on every other page. We can see we can start on page 2 here, page 3, page 4, all the way down to page 13. Okay, so that's kind of your basic page counter. One more kind of thing on the simple headers, footers before we move on to a bit more of a complex one. That's images. So let's say you're happy to put in a static image in the footer. Let's go back to our dashboard page, back to our create PDF action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and you can see here there's a field for image for header footer. So I'm going to upload a static image here now. Okay, so I've just uploaded a Cranford Tech logo. Please note this must be a PNG or a JPEG image. SVG's not currently compatible. But what I can do to make sure that this image goes into the footer is I can go back up here and instead of having private, I can type in my dash image. And again, that's one of these special commands that comes with the DocuPotion plugin, which is going to ensure that that image goes into the footer. You could do the same thing for the header if that's what you prefer. And here's our output PDF. And again, nothing on the first page, which is to be expected. But on the second page here, you can see we're now getting this nice logo on every single page. One thing to note is we do have to specify the dimensions of the image. So you can see here I'm very specifically going with 120 pixels by 40 pixels height. So that's how you generate kind of basic headers and footers. Or if we want to generate something a bit more complex, we can actually use custom HTML and CSS to build our own footer or header. There's a couple of ways you can go about this. Number 1, all the LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, they're really good at producing it. We also have a couple of examples in the DocuPotion documentation. If you search for footer and then click on this custom header and footer examples article. There's a number of examples here. The first one here is for a footer with a company logo for a business document. So I'm just going to copy all of this here. I'm going to go back to my create PDF action, and I'm going to get rid of my image. I'm actually going to get rid of both of them, because when we're designing these custom HTML footers, it's actually going to take up the full width of the footer. So it's not as if you've separate left and right. You just pick one of these fields and that's going to do it for all of it. Now, I could copy and paste this in here, but it's not great to look at and kind of difficult to use. So what I prefer to do is insert dynamic data, search for arbitrary text, and then you get this bigger window here and we can paste it in there. Okay, I'm going to create a PDF of this, and then we're going to make some changes to it, because that is a bit of a placeholder footer. You're going to want to customize it for your own needs. But let's just generate it now and see how it looks. Okay, that's opened up. Going down here, nothing on the first page. And you can see here, what's nice about this is we have a 3-line text section in the right hand side, and then we have this logo which is empty at the moment on the left hand side. But these are kind of two of the big advantages of using the custom HTML approach. Number one, you get you can get 3 lines. You're not limited to just, and it actually has a link in it, you're not limited to just having a single line of text. And then the second big benefit is you can use dynamic images. We had previously loaded a static image and it was going to be in every single PDF, but because we can reference a specific image here, we can actually change the company logo or any other image in the footer. So I'm just going to go back to my database, and you can see here under data types, I have this data type called company, and I only have 2 entries for company inside in my bubble database, Tiny Ink and Big Corp, each with their own logo you can see there. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to say on create PDF, I'm going to go back down to my arbitrary text for the left footer content. I'm going to scroll way down here, and you can see at the moment we're referencing this placeholder image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this with insert dynamic data, do a search for company, and then we're going to go for the first item and its logo, and then importantly the URL. Now, in reality, you may be referencing, I'm going for first item here. You may have the company type set on the page and reference that. You may be referencing it another way. But the whole point is we can actually specify the company's logo from our database directly. I'm going to do the same thing here for company name, just while I'm editing things. Delete that. Insert dynamic data. Do a search for company, first items, and then name. Okay, let's try to generate our PDF again. Just let that reload. Create PDF. I'm just going to close down these previous ones. And scroll down to our second page. And you can see this time we have Big Corp and we have Big Corp's logo. If we were to change that to the last item, i.e. the only other one in there, and generate our PDF again, this time around we should get Tiny Ink's name and logo showing up. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, so you can see there we're getting Tiny Ink over here and here, and we're getting their logo. So that is one way you can use these detailed HTML footers to really customize whatever is shown. Let's go through a couple of other ones here. What do we have? We have this footer for the quotation, and yeah, this is actually a really interesting one. Maybe not so much this one. Let's put it in for a second and just see how it looks, and then we can go on to the other one, which I think is actually probably the best. I'm going to clear all that, paste that in. Let's generate a PDF again. So you can see here another benefit of this type of detailed footer is we can color one line of the text in a different color to the others. We could, if we wanted to, have put in the dynamic company name there, email address, and all that good stuff as well. But let's go on to the third example here, which I think is probably the most interesting because, again, it does page numbers. I know we covered that earlier, but I do get some requests from people asking, can I ever show, page number 1 of 3, 2 of 3? And using this actually allows you to do that. So I'm going to clear all this. I'm going to paste this in. Let's just put in company name again. Keep things nice and dynamic. Do a search for company. Close that. We'll go for the last item and their name. Let's refresh. Create our PDF again. And this time around, we should see, so you can see here, company name, page 2 of 13, page 3 of 13, 4 of 13, and so on. So if you want to get that, page X of Y formatting, this is a way you can do that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with those examples. I do want to briefly just show a header example. I'm conscious we've just shown footers throughout, but you can see here we do have an example for a header as well. So let's put that in. Put it in here. We'll go for left header content. Again, use our arbitrary text. Paste that in there. Create our PDF one more time, and we should get a nice header on this one as well. Okay, so you can see here we're getting our header come in. It's really not suited to this type of PDF, but we can put in, dynamic company name. We can put in the date, which you could also make dynamic, or the invoice number. One good question might be, why is this header showing up when the footer isn't? And the reason is, I'm guessing, is this group here has no background color, whereas I'm guessing these two here do, and that's kind of what covers up the headers and footers. It's actually having a background color on it. So I'm guessing if I go back to my test quote page and I check that out, let's see, this does have a background color, this does, but I'm guessing this group here does not. And the background style is set to image, even though we don't have an image. So let's change that. And then I'm guessing when we do this for the final time, we will see no header on the very first page, which again, this is just an example. This isn't exactly a perfect header for this type of report, but just so you understand what's going on, you can see it's gone there, whereas it's showing up on every other page, and we get 3 different types of text, all of which we can make dynamic. So hope that's been useful. That's how you go through adding headers and footers to your PDFs in Bubble. I would recommend taking a look at the documentation both for this and also just in general. We've come some good docs on header and footers. You can see there are a couple of articles on that as well. So hope all that's been useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments.